For so long, so many people have been telling me that it was impossible to do this thing without steroids. And I believe that for a long period of time. As a matter of fact, I used to do things the old way for most of my career when it comes to bodybuilding and just like putting on muscle in general. But today we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be diving into what's actually possible without steroids when it comes to the one feat that everybody is so obsessed with that honestly makes the most sense to be obsessed with in terms of like conserving your energy, and being more efficient in a shorter time period when it comes to transforming your body, and that is how to actually burn fat and build muscle at the same time. That's what we're going to be talking. What's up, people? What's up? Happy Monday. Yo, what's up, Tyson? I see you. What's up, boy? Joshua, what's happening? Rahul, Gurpreet, what's up, guys? I see you. Let me know how your day is going when you join. I'm going to chill out here a little bit, chat with you guys and girls for a little bit. Actual clear water today. We don't have the blue water right now because it's just too early for pre-workout. Then we're going to dive into it. Jaden, what's up? What's happening, people? Speak to me. How's your Monday going so far? Gurpreet asks me, how's home workout going? So I just finished 1 hour of cardio. I don't know if you can tell I'm sort of like beat because I gotta go eat, but I gotta do this live stream first, then I'll go eat. But the home workouts, they're sufficing. I'm not really pushing for like PRs at home because God knows I don't have that much weight at home. But everything's afloat. We're all good here, brother. I appreciate you for asking. Gurpreet, how's your home workouts going? Joshua from Germany, salute, bro. I appreciate you tuning in from Germany, man. We're over here in Canada. Appreciate you, man. How's your day going, Josh? What's up, Tyson? Fucking soldier says, happy Monday, my man. Let's go. Happy Monday. How's your day going, bro? Ice, what's up? Joshua says, love your videos and talks. Dude, I really, really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in constantly. And I hope that you're always getting value whenever you tune in. Let me know how your day is going, Josh. Deshaun, what's happening? What is good? Uh, cool kid with a K. Cool kid with a K. He says his day's trash because of school. Bro, brighten up, man. I feel you because I know those days, man. Monday, school, fuck. I hear you, bro. Thanks for the follow. Cool kid with a K. I appreciate you, brother. Coda1521 says, are you East Coast or West Coast? I'm closer to the East Coast, but we're Southeast here in Ontario. Toronto, baby. You know what's up. What's up? Fast Jetta 94. Oh, ooh, we got a GDM boy in the house. What's up, bro? Appreciate you, man. Gurpreet says, bro, I'm in England still. Gyms are open here. Love it, man. I love it, man. I hope you and your family are enjoying yourselves. It's been a while since we've seen each other in the gym. I'm glad that you're, enjoying yourself in England and that you're still getting your training on. Hope to see what you look like when you come back. I know you're still consistent and killing it, man. Jaden says Monday quads and calves smashed. Week started out on a high. Love it. Get the hard shit done first. I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it, man. Okay, dope. Alicia, what's happening? She says, what's up? My day's rocking. Your talks rock. I appreciate you, Alicia. You're always there. You know what's up. It's always love from the top, middle, and bottom of my heart. Yeah, I hope you're killing it this Monday. I hope you're enjoying yourself. We got some people in today. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I think 12 is going to be the new time. I've been experimenting with different times throughout the day, and I think 12 is the best time for most people to catch up. If you agree with me, let me know if 12 p.m. is a good time for you. Then I'll consistently lock into that. Superhuman Unchained says, "Let's go, champ. I'm here with you. Enjoy your meal, champ." It's just big up respect for the Sergeant Suicide, aka Superhuman. Unchained salute from Amsterdam. Dude, appreciate you. Appreciate you from Amsterdam. We got people all over the world today. This is dope. All right. So, we says Toronto mans, don't kill me. Loving it, loving it. All right, so let's dive into today's topic. Can you actually do this thing without steroids? And what are we talking about when we say this thing? All right, we're gonna dive into that when I drop the podcast. I just want to let you guys and girls know if you have any questions at any point in time throughout this podcast recording, you can definitely shoot me a message personally if your question's a little bit too private, or you can drop your question down in the chat box and I'll get back to you and reply to your question or give you the response, give you an answer at the end of the podcast once I'm done recording. Because once I'm recording, I just want to, basically spit out everything that I have here to say and give you guys and girls the value and knowledge. And then once that's all there, hopefully I answer questions along the way. But if you still have questions, any concerns, things of that sort, feel free to DM me or feel free to drop that question or comment in the chat box below. All right. So without wasting any time, We're going to dive into the podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, welcome to the Natural Nomad podcast, where we keep it real about how we feel and what we deal with in life. This is the number one podcast for anyone on this planet, country, or nation who wants to make an amazing mental and physical natural transformation. Disclaimer, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Not because I want to be mean, but because I fucking respect you. So if you tune in and decide to give me the time out of your life that you know you'll never get back, the very least I can do for you is keep it a stack. Now that that's out the way, let's chat with IFBB Pro, Matt Butale. Let's get raw, nomads. What's good, chess broads, whatever the fuck you identify as. Good, you're welcome here. You know what's good. Before we dive into it, I'm just going to give you a quick little reminder again for the people that just joined. If you have any questions, you can DM me or you can drop them down in the comments below. Again, I'm going to get back to you at the end of the podcast recording, just to because I want to be able to explain everything I need to explain. And if I answer questions along the way, this is the perfect time for me to do that. So let's dive into it. Can you do this thing without steroids? Is it possible to burn fat and build muscle at the same time without steroids? So first things first, I'm just gonna go off of personal experience here and tell you that for many years I believed it was not possible because first things first, I had a coach that just he was an old school coach. He didn't really he wasn't well rounded. He was like an old coach from the 90s. Pretty much gave me a groceries list for a meal prep. I had nothing, like I almost didn't know what to do when it came to like the measurements and how to consume my meals properly and things of that sort. Um, but for a long period of time, I believed like, yeah, it wasn't possible to actually put on muscle while burning fat at the same time, unless you're taking some form of performance enhancing drug, which personally, again, mentally back then it made sense. But now that I think about it, it's like with the knowledge that's been provided, with like, of course, my new experience that I've applied, that's not true. That's actually not true. It couldn't be further from the truth, right? And the only reason why I believed otherwise is because there was a lack of knowledge, right? So just not knowing that it was possible was the number one reason why I actually didn't believe it was possible, right? So once I learned about how to apply a few tips, which I'm going to talk about, of course, in this podcast, once I learned how to apply them on a consistent basis, I was able to actually just again, put on muscle, lean muscle, dense quality muscle while burning fat at the same time. And see, like the reason why that's so important to me and the reason why it might be so important to you is because if you were doing things the old school way, right? Like when it comes to transforming your body and building muscle, where you put on a whole bunch of size, and I'm putting huge quotations on that because the size that you're really gaining is mostly fat and water. Anyway, I digress. So you put on a whole bunch of size, and then you gotta do, so much when it comes to eating, when it comes to drinking your water, like you're force feeding yourself. Your calories are through the roof. Do you know what I'm saying? And you get to a point where you hit this goal weight only to, reach that weight and then realize, okay, well, it's time to cut. And now when it's time to cut, you gotta like literally flip the script 180 degrees. And instead of force feeding yourself, you're gonna starve yourself. You gotta starve yourself to make sure that you make the nutritional cap or the caloric deficit that's required in order for you to get to a goal weight at a certain date, right? And they're both extremes. What I'm saying here, guys and girls, is they're both extremes. All right. They're like they're two different extremes. And I want you guys and girls just to be aware of the fact that it's not healthy to be living in either or extreme. I'm just gonna stop a little bit real quick. Just to shout out homegirl, Nikki says, "Hey, I go to Pure. I always go with Regan. Do you go there? I don't go there constantly, but I've been going there since before they opened. I know the owners there; they're pretty dope. It's a great gym. It's like a kid in a candy store whenever I go there. But I don't go there often. But whenever I do, it's a blast. So if I ever see you there, show up. You know what I'm saying? Just say yo, what's up? You know what I mean? It's all love. Anyway, moving forward. So, guys and girls, let me just keep it a stack with you. Um, that's living in any extreme is bad, like straight up not sustainable. It'll fuck your digestive system up and mentally it'll make you like struggle a lot with your image. When I would look in the mirror, when I hit like 215, 220 even, and this was like 3 years ago, I would feel fucking obese, bro. I hated looked at times when I would push an extreme bulk. And the although my strength was really high, although I was I wasn't obese or anything. I still had abs, you know what I mean? Like I still looked fairly decent. The way my mind depicted that was just very like off. It was very negative. And the only reason was because it was an extreme. Because when I had to cut down and make weight for a show, not only would I have to lose north of 40 pounds, like, but once I would get to that level, that level of conditioning, and like once I'd get ready for the stage, I'd look at myself in the mirror and I'd be like, who's this skinny fuck? And I noticed that like on it's doesn't matter on which polarizing end of the extreme you're on, mentally it's gonna fuck you up. And that's one thing that like that was the first thing that made me realize, okay, well, the way I'm doing this or the way that I'm approaching my body transformation is just not like I don't want to do it. Like in my heart, I really don't want to do this extreme bulk and then do an extreme cut because when I look in the mirror, I feel like shit at both ends of the stick. And then somewhere in the middle, it's like I'm not really paying attention to the way I look. I'm just like happy that I'm not forcing one or the other. But let's face it, when you're extreme bulking or extreme cutting, you're always in an extreme, right? So if I'm in the middle, it's because I'm coming down or I'm going back up. So I'm uncomfortable in some way, shape, or form. All right. So that's like a little bit of my personal experience there. I just want to be honest with you guys. As I said, I'm gonna keep it a stack as always. I personally do not recommend doing an extreme bulk and doing an extreme cut. Anything extreme is not sustainable. Anything that's not sustainable is not good for you. All right. So we talked about the bad. We already talked about, essentially what you don't want to be doing when it comes to transforming your body and putting on muscle by putting on a whole lot of size, which is mainly fat and water. And let's also put this out in the air too. All that size that you gain when you do an extreme bulk, you do put on some muscle, but the amount of muscle that you retain when you cut is like little to nothing. So you get big for nothing almost because you can't even take all that muscle down with you when you're cutting down because the deficit and the cut is so extreme. Make sense? It's the same parallel when you compare it to not everything is actually muscle when you're growing because the rate of speed that you're growing, especially naturally, it's like almost impossible to put on dense, lean, quality tissue without putting on a shit ton of fat and water. It's like the same opposite. Make sense? So let's dive into it. When we're talking about growing muscle and building fat, growing muscle and burning fat, when we're talking about that, we need to understand the age old basics that are still old school but still do apply to this day. Number one, to grow muscle, we need protein. We know that. And this one, I'm going to lay it out here. Vegan or vegetarian, it doesn't matter. I don't know why sometimes some people come up to me and they say, Matt, I want to grow muscle, but I'm vegetarian or I'm vegan. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like you can definitely grow muscle as a vegan or vegetarian, but the same rule still applies, which is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, right? Just because you're vegetarian or vegan doesn't make it inherently difficult to grow muscle as long as you're abiding by that rule, right? And I have got a client who's actually a competitor, a men's physique competitor, a natural one, and he's a vegetarian and he looks fucking amazing. And he's continuing to grow muscle without putting on fat, and matter of fact, burning fat. Okay. How? Number one, we're staying to the rule of growing one, or sorry, of putting 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight. Like that's just basic old school. If you don't know, now you know. Okay. It doesn't matter if you're vegan or vegetarian. So the second thing I want to talk about, which is going to tie into the last thing, the third thing, but the second thing is keeping your carbs under control. So what do I mean by that when I say keep your carbs under control? Well, simply put, don't eat more carbs than you need to. Of course, this is very subjective because everybody has a certain amount of carbs that they're going to need to consume in order to, have feel like they're going to have energy, or they need a certain amount of carbs to actually be able to still lose weight, but keep the glycogen storage as full, so on and so forth. So the number is going to vary for every person depending on what your goal is. But one thing that does stay true is if you don't eat more carbs than you need to eat, it's going to be easier for you to, and I'm going to tie into the third topic here, stay in a slight caloric deficit. Okay, so if you can keep your carbs under control, keep your protein at a bare minimum of a gram per pound of body weight, a gram per pound of body weight, then you're pretty much already almost in a slight caloric deficit. And that's without even looking at the calories that you're consuming. Because, like, let's put it this way, most of the weight that we eat, or most of the calories that we eat, come from carbohydrates. And if you can mitigate that, if you can like control it, if you can, basically control urges when it comes to your carbs, it becomes a whole lot easier to manage the amount of calories that you're able to take in, right? And if you can manage that, then you can control yourself to be in a slight caloric deficit. Now, what is a slight caloric deficit and why do you need to be in one if you want to build muscle and burn fat at the same time? Well, put it this way. So, remember earlier on, we were talking about those polar opposites, those two extremes, aggressively bulking and aggressively cutting? Well, let's look at it like this. To aggressively bulk, you need to be in aggressive caloric surplus. To aggressively cut, you need to be in an aggressive caloric deficit. So, what happens if you give yourself 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, which is enough to grow muscle, but you stay a little bit under your normal caloric requirements? So, we're focusing on building muscle by feeding the muscle the amount of protein that it needs, while also keeping our body in a or and our keeping our body and our metabolism in a state of burning fat by being in a slight caloric deficit. Again, caloric deficit is to lose weight, to burn fat, all right? And a caloric surplus is to put on size. You don't actually need to be in a surplus to be putting on muscle, though. When we're talking about size, absolutely. Fat and water, definitely. Knock yourself out with the surplus. But what I found is to grow lean, dense, hard muscle tissue, what works best for me, what works best for my clients is staying in a slight caloric deficit so our body stays burning fat while feeding ourselves, if not 1 gram per pound of body weight, then more. All right. So 1 gram per pound of body weight is like the bare minimum baseline that I would always recommend everybody start at. But you can definitely feed yourself more than that, especially if you feel like you're hungry on a slight caloric deficit. For myself, when I refeed on protein, right? And that's again, I'm feeding my muscle the protein. I'm in a slight caloric deficit. My body's burning the fat. I'm doing the cardio to continue or to elevate my body's ability to burn the fat. And we're staying in a caloric deficit. So when I say slight caloric deficit, it's nowhere near, it's not even noticeable, honestly. Say, just for a random example, that your body needed 3,000 calories just to be at maintenance. And that's just a random number. Okay. So say your body needed 3,000 calories to be at maintenance. What a slight caloric deficit would look like is between 2,900, 2,850, or 2,800. So we'll say 2,900 to 2,800 calories if your maintenance level was at 3,000. Okay, so it's 200 calories under the required maintenance level. And that's just going to do a tiny bit when it comes to burning fat. But when you mix in cardio and then you add in protein on top of that, the real magic starts to happen because the more muscle that you actually have on your frame, the more anabolic your body is, which means the more fat your BMR, yes, your BMR will actually increase a little bit. So your basal metabolic rate. So your ability to just burn fat and exist will increase by adding more muscle onto your frame. Okay. And now, if you're adding more muscle onto your frame and having more muscle on your frame, and we understand that having more muscle on your frame burns the fat that's already there, then when we factor in cardio consistently, we can again further optimize burning fat with conjunction of being in a slight caloric deficit and then feeding our muscle to isolate. Make sense? We're going to isolate the factor of growing muscle by feeding ourselves protein. Okay, so whenever people would tell me, "Yo, Matt, it's not possible. You definitely have to be on steroids if you want to, you know, grow muscle and burn fat at the same time." The old me would have believed it, but the me now is like, yeah, well, no, because I've been doing this for like 3 years straight now, and I've been improving my look every single year without having to force feed myself and without having to do a ridiculous cut, to a point where I would just feel like lethargic and like mentally, I'd feel like, oh, I look like shit, I look skinny, and then on the other side too as well. Of course, when I would do an extreme bulk, right? So just to recap here, the main topics around today's topic or today's podcast relate to putting on muscle without putting on fat, or at least burning fat at the same time without steroids. And the way we do that is by number one, keeping our protein intake at a gram per pound of body weight, bare minimum. Doesn't matter if you're vegan or vegetarian. Number two, keeping your carbs under control, only eating what you need. Again, that number is subjective. Everybody, guy or girl, height, wherever you currently are, and the amount of muscle mass you have right now at this time is going to dictate how many carbs you actually need. Okay. And then with that, staying in a slight caloric deficit to make sure that your body is doing the most it can to burn fat while you feed yourself enough protein to build muscle. And then you incorporate cardio to magnify both effects. And there we are, burning fat, building muscle at the same time. All right. So thank you so much for your time and attention today. This is the number one podcast for anyone on this planet, country, or nation who wants to make an amazing natural transformation. All right. Don't forget to implement at least one thing from this podcast, because information without implementation is just fucking noise. All right. So if you laugh, cried, got any value, motivation, or inspiration from this podcast, please share it out to one friend who you know will enjoy it too. All right, you know it's good. Also, shameless plug to my YouTube account if you haven't already subscribed. Hit me up. It's MATT space BUTALE if you want to see how I live my life outside of social media. And also, if you want to join the Natural Nomad Academy and lose 25 pounds within 3 months, hit me up, shoot me a DM with the words Nomad, and I'll see if it'd be a good fit. Again, you do have to qualify. So I'm going to send you a qualification form. If you don't qualify, I'll let you know why you didn't qualify and what you need to do in order to qualify. And if you do, then you're in. You already know what's up. All right. It's been nice chatting. Hope you like what today's topic was about. Natural IFBB Pro Matt signing out. Boom. What's up, people? Podcast is recorded. What's up? Brad says, thanks for the tips, King. I appreciate you, Brad. What's good, boy? Nikki says, OMG, let's work out together. Yeah, sure. One day let's work out. I know there's, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it still should be. I'm not gonna say it on the air because you never know. But yeah, good things, you got to keep good things, right? So yeah, definitely, we could definitely work out. Just shoot me up a message. We can see if we can figure something out. Charles says yes, commenting so I can stay on disabled. I don't know, bro. I don't know why I read that. Nikki says, did a show and felt like shit after. Even the smallest weight gain would mess me up. I cried every pound I put on. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because believe me, I may have not cried, but I know that feeling. I recently just got my pro card and I haven't felt it now much at all, but I did feel it the last nationals I did before this show, which was shit. 2019. That was, yeah, 2019 nationals. I did that one, and yeah, after that, first of all, I placed second there, so I was already sad. And then after that, I was putting on a little bit of weight slowly, which is the way you should do it, nice and slow. But for every pound that went on, I was like looking in the mirror real hard to see where I was putting on that weight and then like freaking out and shit. So I could relate with you on that. Thanks for sharing it. Thanks for sharing it. Prone Kestrel 256 says, "Are you black? You seem blue." I'm not even gonna read that. Um, anyway, Vikram, I appreciate you for joining. And yeah, Brad, anytime. All right, let's see what we got here on Instagram before we move on to Facebook and then we roll out. All right, all right. Just a whole bunch of people that joined. I appreciate y'all. Holy shoot. I can't even shout all of you guys out. I just know I fucking appreciate you for watching the live stream replay. You know what's up. Alicia, what's good? Danielle, I appreciate you for watching. So she says, I've had a takeaway natural best 1 gram protein per 1 pound of body weight. Yeah, so that's essentially what you want to be doing, Alicia, right? And that's like a bare minimum entry level sort of piece of recommend of information I'd like recommend to anyone. You know, but of course, as you get more advanced and like as you put on more muscle, you're going to be able to tolerate more protein, especially when you notice that you're going to get like when you get hungrier on that slight caloric deficit. It doesn't mean necessarily, change your slight caloric deficit and go all the way up to a surplus or anything like that. But you can definitely do a quick little refeed every here and there. But with protein, though, assuming your body can actually absorb it and make use of it because of the added muscle that's been accumulated training and increasing your weights and like actually being on top of everything. But 1 gram of protein per pound is golden. Like it's golden, golden. Soaking it up. Okay, thank you. You know it's good. I appreciate you, Alicia. Thank you so much for always tuning in and getting value. All right, Josh, I see you. He just tuned in real quick there. All right, people. You know it's good. We got one over here from my client Tyson Barrett says the progress I've seen in a week and with And a week and a half with consistency, I'm convinced. Hashtag Nomad. So we got a natural nomad in the house. One of my clients, Tyson Barrett. Shout out to my boy. He's been in the program for a week and a half, and he just told you guys, if you're not listening already, that he's seeing wicked results, and he's convinced because again, the proof is in the pudding, and he's eating the whole damn thing. Of course, respecting his macros though. So I was a slick one there, but yeah, man, Tyson, fucking kill it. I'm super proud of you. And again, guys and girls, that's your invite there. Like if you want to actually make the change, if you want to transform, put on some muscle, hit up your boy, DM me with the words Nomad. They'll see if you can help out. Again, you do have to qualify. I don't just take on everybody, of course, for obvious reasons, right? So you know what's up, Doug. Put the no pills, no needles there. I appreciate you, Doug. You know what's good, people. Alicia, thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody on TikTok, you know what's good. I'll be back again tomorrow with another live stream topic. Until then, you guys and girls have the sickest fucking Monday of your life. Let's go. We out.